we have the weekend Apple news. Welcome back to the channel. It's the weekend, and what do we do on the weekends? We go through the Apple news. We're going to go through about 20 or 25 different Apple-related news stories. We throw in some Apple kind of tech sales in there as well. I usually have a beer. Today I have a Yingling Oktoberfest. Didn't even know they made that. Really good. It's almost Oktoberfest. Get ready for it. Anyway, sit back and relax. Let's have some fun on the weekends. Let's get into the weekend Apple news. Okay, we're coming up on this new event from Apple on September 9th. What are we going to get here? Well, let's talk about it for a second. Right over here, Mac Rumors. It says everything Apple plans to debut next week, according to Bloomberg. Now look at this little symbol here. This is kind of the Apple event. They call it the awe-dropping event here. And you can see this. It looks almost like a heat map here, blue and orange, and also kind of like a vapor chamber. So I think this is what they're going. A lot of people are kind of saying, what is this all about? We think it's going to be the new blue and orange color coming to the iPhone Pros. It's kind of incorporated in here. And then also the vapor chamber. I guess they're going to be putting a vapor chamber in here for better cooling. I think that's what that logo is all about. Post in the comments if you have anything else that this is kind of trying to show us here. But I think those are the things it's showing us. Okay, so what are the things we expect coming out, and what are some of the things we don't expect coming? Let's talk about it. So here are all the things we almost are positive are coming out on the 9th right here. Take a look. We have the iPhone 17 here, larger 6.3-inch display. We got the iPhone 17 Air here. And I'm not going to go through all this. We've talked about this so many times, but this is going to be kind of their new, they're going to be talking about this a lot, right? It's going to be the thinner design that's going to bend in your pocket. It's going to be the thinner design that's going to have less of a battery. We don't know yet. We're going to have to see. They're going to have something to make this better, and hopefully it'll be there. I mean, maybe the design will do it for people. I don't know. That's the iPhone 17 Air. We got the iPhone 17 Pro models. Again, the A19 chips are coming on all these things. There's going to be a lot of upgrades, and we'll talk about those later, including these new lenses and stuff for telephoto, which should be pretty good, right, overall. I mean, they're not going to be bad phones. They're going to be good phones, obviously. We love Apple, right? So we're going to get that with some of those new colors. I think that's built into that logo. We'll talk about that. And then also the Apple Watch Series 11 should be coming. New screen with increased brightness, new color and banding offers. So maybe some new colors on that. The Apple Watch SE could be coming as well. New display and faster chip. We don't think that's going to be plastic like they were saying. It's going to go back to metal. That's actually a good thing, I think. Nobody would want a plastic Apple Watch. And then finally, the AirPods Pro 3, the heart rate monitor, smaller charging case, and live translation, maybe. That's kind of unknown right now if they've actually got that nailed down. So that's actually what we think's coming in September 9th. I'm not a huge iPhone channel here, so I'm more of a Mac channel, if that's even possible. But still, it's going to be kind of exciting to see. So what are some of the things we may not see or are kind of on the cusp? Oh, let's talk about it. All right, from 9 to 5 Mac, it says 5 new Apple products are the biggest September 9th launch maybes. So these are not nots, these are maybes. These are kind of the ones on the cusp. If you kind of go down, AirTags 2, really longer range is really the big thing here. We don't think it's going to be, it might be a slightly new design, but we think it's just going to be like up to 3 times the range, which is actually going to be helpful. That's a maybe. Apple TV 4K. We actually, with the A17 Pro, this could be also coming. We think this could possibly be in a couple of weeks later, not this event, but it's possible, I guess. Apple TV 4K here. What else do we have here? The HomePod Mini 2. This is a possibility as well in this kind of thing. We don't think it's going to be, because the iPhones with the Air is going to be a big feature here. If they even introduce this stuff, it's going to just kind of be thrown in there at the very end, we think. So we'll see. I'm not sure if this is going to be coming, or it should be in its own event probably. It's going to have the M5 iPad Pro here. So that's actually going to be, I think, its own event. I don't think they're going to lump these together with the iPhones. They really never have, and I don't think it's going to be a good idea for them to do that. So I think we're going to not see these either. I think this will come more probably in October, obviously. And then the new Vision Pro as well. That's probably not going to be here as well. I think that'll be also in October. That'll probably go with the iPads, is my opinion. I could always be wrong, right? We definitely will not see, though. We're not going to see new MacBooks either right now. We know that's almost 100% sure. So don't expect that. And iPads, too, we're going to expect a little bit later. So the MacBooks could come later this year or early next year based on rumors. So long story short, you really have to be an iPhone lover this time, or at least a couple of those little products if you want to watch this event. Cheers, everyone. Okay, a couple things here. On my channel, I show you this monitor right over here. This was a while ago. It's just basically now for pre-order. This is the Asus ProArt display. This is going to be the 6K, almost, that's 31.5 or 32 inches, I guess they call it, $13.99. So this is going to be the price. We were kind of speculating on the price. Looks like it's going to be $13.99 to start, but that obviously doesn't have any sales or anything. It says new coming. You can actually pre-order that right now. But there's actually a new kit in town now as well. So it's good to see all these competition coming out for 6K 32-inch monitors. We have another one. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be the best. This one it's more expensive, and it has a little catch to it because it's actually a touchscreen, all right? So let's take a look at what's coming out this time, and we'll see if it's any good, right? Maybe we can get both of these and review them. So right over here, Mac Rumors. This is from Alogic. Debuts a $2,000 32-inch 6K with touch support. So it announces 6K support touchscreen. It's got touchscreen input, with the company saying that it's the world's first 6K touchscreen. I believe that, right? You can see the stand, though. It kind of sits down on your desk like this, which is actually kind of cool, maybe for drawing or touching. Now, I read through the article, and it said basically it should be like, they actually have a 5K screen. It's a touchscreen as well right now. It's not, it's probably not the best monitor out there. We'll see if they make some improvements here. It's not bad either. I mean, obviously you can't complain about a 6K. Long story short, though, we'll see if the touch functionality, it's not like as good. It's hard to use basically because it's such a big screen, and it's not like having an iPad in your hand. You have to kind of reach for the screen, and when you want a 6K screen, it's got usually, within, it's usually a little bit further than your arm's length away from you like that. So it's hard to reach it and hard to like draw on it without, screwing up your back and stuff. So does this make a lot of sense? Post in the comments, does this kind of a screen make sense to you? In any case, it's going to be called the Clarity 6K Touch and Fold Stand. You can see again the stand here. And it's going to be displayed as a 6016 by 3384. Imagine that. That's crazy. But it's only 60 hertz. That's obviously, we knew that because just the resolution and, it's just not enough bandwidth right now to deal with it. So they have to keep it at 60 hertz. 400 nits of brightness as well. 99% Adobe RGB and DCI P3 also accuracy. That's actually really good. It says that it works with the stylus, the MPP 2.0 stylus compatibility also. So we'll see. I mean, it says it's going to be around $2,000. They don't know the exact pricing right now. But post in the comments, is this something that you would consider? It does look glossy as well, which is really cool. So, but again, I just say the more of these that come out, the more that the prices keeps going down, especially on 6K. Apple's going to be up against the wall. They probably won't, but I think they're going to have to do something, especially with maybe the Mac Studio in the 6K that they offer as well. And the prices should come down. It's all a good thing for everybody, but just post in the comments. Okay, so the iPhone, we just talked about that. Obviously, the event's coming up. What about pricing? We're going to find out in a couple days here, but what do you think about pricing? Take a look over here. It says a base iPhone 17 Pro could cost $200 more, but with double storage. Apple will maintain the entry-level pricing of the standard iPhone 17 this year, but the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max are set to get price hikes, albeit with a minimum storage boost for the iPhone 17 Pro models. Long story short, let's just look at this chart down here. This is what they're estimating the prices to be. So the iPhone 128 here is going to stay at $799, but all these other ones, they're going to start at $256 here, the Air, the Pro, and the Max, and the Air should start around $1,100, $1,099. The iPhone 17 Pro, $1,199, and then $1,299 for the Pro Max. So these have actually gone up a little bit here. Now they're saying it's not from tariffs and stuff. It's because they're giving you the extra storage. I actually kind of believe that's true because they're not really getting hit with tariffs that bad. I mean, they're getting exempt from them. But we'll see. I mean, these prices look really high over here on this side if you want 1 terabyte or even 512. So we're going to see how this actually sells. You just never know. Okay, I have a quick tip for everybody because of the iPhones going up in pricing. What's a good thing to do? Now, I found an article exactly what I was thinking right over here from Apple Insider. It says iPhone 16 Pro review 1 year later. Don't buy the iPhone 17, get the 16 Pro instead. And you can see a picture of it here. Obviously, it's got a good review. So if you're thinking about, hey, the prices is maybe going up $100 or $200 for these phones, I don't want to spend that much, look for the iPhone 16 Pro. They're going to be on super sale soon. You're going to be able to get them maybe like just barely touched, maybe at a refurbished site or something like that. But this is kind of the phone you may want to get because you're going to get these at steep discounts, maybe $799 or somewhere in that range versus, spending a couple $100 more, and you're not going to get that much of a difference, all right? It depends how you use the phone, but that's my tip here is as soon as these come out, start looking at the 16 Pro and you can't go wrong. Okay, let's talk about colors of the iPhones now. Now, it doesn't really matter. I keep telling people because you're putting a case on it in most cases, so it doesn't matter. But anyways, people want to know. So let's really quickly go through this. Mac rumors. iPhone 17 colors, every rumored option for the lineup. So we're going to go in here now. Go down here. So iPhone 17 models right here. This is last year's colorway right here. These are last year's models. So the new colors coming out this year, they're claiming black, white, steel gray, green, purple, and light blue. So we have this purple and this green over here. You can see them down here. And I guess that's kind of what's going on here. Actually, let me just scroll here so you can see them. See right there? So that might be the new colors. It's not really a dark green. There's a couple things here going on. I have some questions about this because you see this green here they're showing. You see this purple. We'll come back to this in a second. All right. If you go down to the iPhone 17 Air here, you can see a picture of it right here. Let me scroll down over here. So that should come out in 4 colors according to them. This is obviously brand new, but it should be right here. Black, white. They call this, what is is this? Light gold. The order's off here, and then light blue. I believe this is light blue, light gold. It's kind of like an off-white. Looks like a dirty white. I don't know who would want that one. And then you get white and black. So this is supposedly the colors there. Now this is the unknown one here. Or not the unknown one. This is the big one. The iPhone 17 Pro models, right? So if we take a look at this, these are the colors over here from before. Obviously, these are the standard colors. The Pros have always come in only Pro colors. This year, though, because of that logo and everything, it's going to probably come in two different options here. Right over here, blue in this kind of, I don't know what they call this, orange, I guess burnt orange or something. But these are supposedly the new colors. And that's obviously the colors of that logo I showed you earlier. So that's what we're thinking. Now, with all those colors coming out, that's fine and dandy. Let's just say like that's what everyone thinks. Those are the rumors. But then some other guy came out just recently with, you know, that little, I guess it's the camera button on the phones. He actually has a leak of all the different colors. And there's a couple ones that just don't make a lot of sense. So right over here, Apple Insider. It says leaked iPhone 17 camera control buttons reveal unexpected color options. So we take a look in here. We have a pink here and a blue. But the green here, the green doesn't really match up there. See that? That green is not a lot like the other green. And this is kind of almost like a yellow to me. Doesn't it look yellow? I guess that could be that kind of weird yellow or that weird green they were showing. But this looks like a dark green, and this looks like kind of a more of a yellow, right? And this says rumor score likely. These buttons are real. So if we go back to the colors back there, so this over here, I mean, this is not the green we saw. There's a dark green in there. It says green. This is the light green. So if we go back over here, you know, maybe it's that one, but what is this one here? You know, all this kind of stuff in here. So we'll see. That's not the only colors, but those are some colors that they were showing, and it's like they don't really match up to what people think are coming. Okay, so if you're an iPhone 17 Pro person anyway, what are some of the new upgrades to the camera, at least? Right over here, 9 to 5 Mac. These are the iPhone 17 Pro's new camera features per this report. Again, this is new. This is early. We're going to see what happens. These are only rumors. But right over here, the 5 camera features mentioned include video recording to get major enhancements. That's actually going to be good. It already has good video recording. Telephoto lens upgraded to 48 megapixel from the 12. We know that. Variable aperture system. That would be really cool. Multicam video recording here. You can see that right there. And then selfie camera's biggest ever upgrade here, which we don't know exactly what that means, but it's going to be a big upgrade to the selfie camera for all it's worth, right? So those are usually the features we're going to see, but we don't know for sure if that's all of them. We'll have to wait and see. We'll know in just a couple days. Okay, coming up in the future here, I'm going to do a video on this, just like if you have a Mac Mini, how you can actually use, you know, I have obviously an iMac sitting over here, but how you can use this iMac for a actual screen for your Mac Mini. There's a way to do it. It's kind of clunky, and I'll show it to you in a couple days. I did one before, but this is kind of a new process. So, but anyways, I was thinking about that as well, and then I started doing some digging and stuff, and I found this article over here, which is kind of a cool article. I think everyone agrees. Tell me in the comments, would this make you buy one? Hold on one sec, right over here, 9 to 5 Mac. It says, now is a great time for Apple to bring back this long-removed iMac feature, all right? A while ago, Apple used to include a software feature in macOS on an older iMac models. It was called the target display mode. We all know that. And it allowed your Mac into basically an internal display here. So, long story short, would you buy this? Think about this for a second, because you can pick up used ones like the M1 variants like I have here for about $599 right now. And it's a 4.5K screen. Now, if you actually do the math on that, that's about the same cost you'd spend on a screen from BenQ or Asus or something like that. And you'd have an M1 computer behind it. So you could go out and buy this screen here, use it for your M1 Mac Mini, or not M1, I'm sorry, M4 Mac Mini, and then also use the computer here if you wanted to separately as well. That would be a big advantage, right? And especially when these things start aging, it's really good for that as well. So if they could bring this back, I don't know if they could put the software on this to allow it. I don't think that's maybe even possible. I don't know. Long story short, tell me in the comments, would you buy one? Would this make you buy more of these if they actually had that feature on it? This is kind of funny. So they've been rumoring on this as well with these new iPhones. And just let me just give you my take on this. That's why I took a sip here, because this kind of, I know this is going to happen, especially when you live in Chicago. Just hold on one sec. Mac Rumors says iPhone 17's crossbody strap accessory to feature magnetic design. So this supposedly all these new cases have this, you know, it's going to be getting ready for this. It's like a lanyard you can put on your phone here. It's got these little magnetic stuff that goes into your phone case, and you can actually wear your phone across your body with these little straps here, right? I'm not exactly sure. I don't know who would even be using that, but anyways, they have the color matching and stuff. You can see the orange here, maybe for that orange iPhone Pro there. Just tell me who in the world wants this, all right? So let me just set this up for you. You're in Chicago, right? And you're walking maybe down on the Magnificent Mile, right? people are stealing your phone left and right there to begin with, basically. Not all the time, but if you go out at night, I wouldn't do it. Why don't you just broadcast the fact that you have a $1,200 phone sitting on your chest that any thief can see, run by and just grab and rip off you? So in your pocket, at least, it doesn't give them the idea of doing it. But when it's sitting there broadcast across your chest and you're walking around like this, obviously every thief in the world is going to see that thing. It's going to be super easy to grab and they're going to be gone in 2 seconds. So you explain to me, what good is this thing, right? Now, I know in a perfect world, like maybe if you lived in Switzerland or something, this would be a good idea. But in Chicago, it's not. And hopefully it'll get better soon, but we'll see. So you guys post in the comments, is this a good idea or not? Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm crazy? Some people do. That's fine, right? Anyways, let's move on. Okay, next we have a couple sales on Apple products. Now, a couple sales I wanted to show you are pretty good, I guess, and one has actually gone the opposite direction. So right over here, finally it actually changed. So this is the 2000, well actually the M4, let's just call it the M4 here, the MacBook Air here, and it's basically the base model, right? This was $799 forever, but now it's $899. So this actually went up. So it's still 10% off. It's still $100 off. This finally went up to $899. Maybe they sold enough of them. They were clearing them out at $799. So if you missed it, you missed it, all right? That's not great news. But do we have any other sales we found? Well, you can see over here, this one's going to be a weird one, but it's so much off. I don't know why they give you this much off. It's crazy. So take a look over here. This is from B&H right now. I don't know how long this is going to be here. This is the Apple Mac Mini with the M4 Pro chip. $31.99. You're going to say, why so expensive? Well, look at this, $1,200 off right now. So what in the world is this thing, all right? So you get the M4 Pro 12-core chip, right? That's the M4 Pro, but 64 gigs of unified memory and an 8 terabyte. Look at that 8 terabyte SSD right there. And you get, obviously, the Wi-Fi. You get all the other stuff in here. But still, that would usually be $43.99. Now it's $31.99, $1,200 off. So if you're looking for a Mac Mini, which, I mean, you probably would want to get the Studio at this point, but you're getting 8 terabytes of storage and you're getting 64 gigs of RAM, this could be the one for you. I mean, obviously, take it when you can get it, right? That's a crazy deal there, $1,200 off. If you want something more down to earth, but still, and again, tell me why Apple does this. Look over here. This is from B&H as well. This one's the Apple Mac Studio with the M4 Max. So this is a little bit different, obviously, but this is $23.99, only $300 off here. But still, I think it's a good deal, right? The other one was $1,200. This one's only $300, but you're getting the Max chip here. So this might be a better deal, right? So this is $23.99. What do you get? You get the M4 Max 16-core CPU, 64 gigs, which matches it. But look at this, only 512 gigabyte versus the 8 terabytes, and then 40-core GPU, 16-core neural engine. So the main difference here is going to be that storage. I mean, 8 terabytes versus 512. You get the way faster chip here. But still, I just wanted to showcase this because this is overall is a good deal still, $300 off. Okay, I think we're finally figuring out the direction that Apple might be going, kind of with their Apple Intelligence. And we still got some loose ends, but let's just talk about, we're getting a little closer. Right over here, Mac Rumors. LLM Siri with World Knowledge feature, or search feature, coming in early 2026. Apple plans to add an AI-powered web search to Siri next year, reports Bloomberg. The search tool will integrate Siri features that provide information on general search queries similar to ChatGPT, Google's AI overviews and searches, all right? It says Apple's calling on search feature World Knowledge Answers. Just remember that name internally. And some Apple executives apparently refer to it as an answer engine. So they're kind of going through all this stuff. And they've been working with a whole bunch of different companies, right? But I think they've finally got a kind of a deal, like an initial deal signed with Google. And it looks like Google could be the one they're going with versus obviously OpenAI versus some of the other companies that they were thinking about. It could be the Google now that they're actually doing it with. And there's a couple of reasons for it. So some of those reasons right over here, Apple Insider. So Bank of America hikes Apple target to 260 following Google search ruling. So this is, let's just take a step back and then I'm going to come back to what I was saying in a second. But if you look at this, so Apple stock is targeted now way up to 260. And the reason for this is, I don't know if you saw on the news, but you remember that ruling where they were maybe going to take, I think Google pays Apple over $20 billion a year to be the main search engine on their computers, all right? And they were worried that the government or the, people in law and stuff like that, we're going to take that away from them, obviously. They were going to rule that it was a monopoly and all that stuff. Well, they actually won that ruling, meaning that now Google can still pay Apple, and Apple, they don't have to kind of separate that, all right? It's actually going to be allowed. So that money there is still going to come in from Apple. And that was a huge factor, what Apple was maybe waiting for here. This is what they're talking about. So when you see this, when we see this thing, a lot of people came behind the scenes, the stock went up, but it's because this big ruling came that it's not a monopoly, and Google can still pay Apple $20 billion to be their main search engine. They don't have to break those two companies up. And Apple actually won that. And why is that important? Well, right over here, 9 to 5 Mac, it says Apple's winning AI strategy might come down to 3 simple words per CNBC, all right? You can kind of see in here. Let's just scroll down here. And we just talked about how they won this. So it says pay to play Apple, or could Apple AI solution modeled after Google search deal. So let's talk about this. It says with Apple's $20 billion search deal with Google's now seemingly safe, investors see AI as one of the company's other significant perceived threats. But according to this guy, Jim Cramer, which he's probably never right, so we got to take it with a grain of salt, the court decision reveals a very bright future for Apple AI. So Cramer here, he goes on to say, yesterday Apple had no cards before the ruling, but today after the ruling, they have all of the cards. Turns out that Apple always had an AI strategy, pay to play, right? So if you kind of go down here, it says Apple no longer has to worry about making a deal worth billions with a hyperscaler or a company like Perplexity, Cramer said. Instead, big chat bot names will now have to compete for Apple Spotlight, he continued, as the company boasts more than 1 billion active iPhone users. There isn't a clear winner right now in the chatbot space, but if you can pay Apple a fortune, basically to make your debut on their system, it's going to be basically a check to Apple. So if you think about this for a second, this does make a lot of sense. So now that Apple won this ruling and they can keep basically their main search engine on, obviously they're going to be, Google's paying them $20 billion. Maybe one of these other places is going to, up the ante, or maybe Google will actually have to pay them more, and it's going to be integrated. So for Apple, it's probably best to use, Google because they're already using them for their main search engine. But maybe they'll even raise the cost more. Now, Apple has all the cards. If they don't want to use Google, they can use somebody else and make the price go up because there's so many users on the iPhone right now, and everyone wants that, especially with all of their AI. They have these AI systems. Everyone does, but nobody, they need the users, right? Apple's got the users. And by winning this, they finally don't have to create their own search engine. Now people will pay them for putting their search engine on Apple devices. So long story short, this is going to happen. It's going to happen soon. Okay, this next article really quickly, I wanted to just showcase it because I don't think this could even possibly be true. Who knows? But this is what it's saying right over here, Mac Rumors. It says survey, nearly 70% of users plan to upgrade to iPhone 17. A new study has found that nearly 7 in 10 iPhone owners in the United States plan to upgrade to the iPhone 17 model. Smartphone price comparisons, this is, I guess it's from the Cell surveyed over 2,000, it's only 2,000 people, right? According to the data, 68.3% of current iPhone users intend to purchase an iPhone 17 model at launch, marking an increase from 61%, basically in the iPhone 16. But could that possibly be true? Almost 70% of people are going to upgrade to the 17. It seems like people upgrade every 3 or 4 years now. Is this a big enough change for you? Post in the comments. I'm just curious. Are you going to be upgrading? Or are you going to be staying the same, right? I think my crowd's a little bit older. I think the older people just hang on to their phones because they're not into all the newest and greatest stuff. So maybe we'll have a little skew here, as far as going that direction. But just post in the comments as I'm curious. Okay, so one feature to CarPlay that's actually coming out that will be kind of cool, but also maybe a little dangerous. Maybe not, but we'll see. 9 to 5 Mac. It says CarPlay in iOS 26 enables video in the car, but there's a catch, all right? So supposedly in the code, it's going to allow you to watch a video in your car. Now, obviously, they say that it has to be in the park mode, right? Your car has to be in parked, and then it will actually allow you to watch the video. So that shouldn't be that dangerous, right? I don't think so, unless you're stopping on the highway while you're in a traffic jam and watching something. Maybe then, right? Long story short, that's good. But then the catch here, what's the catch? Well, it says the catch is and even though this is in iOS 26, it's up to the car manufacturer to enable it, supposedly. I don't know what that means even. I guess they have a way to do it. So they say a lot of people may not be doing it just because the car manufacturers may not want lawsuits and stuff, even though the car isn't moving. So you got to pressure them if you want it. Supposedly it's going to be available. So if you're stuck at the supermarket just waiting maybe for your wife or something, you can watch a movie or something. I think it's a good feature as long as it's not moving because we have enough of that already with people driving around like this like crazy. So anyways, I like it if it's done right. Okay, we have another quick product sale here. And hear me out again, I've talked about this many times, but the price keeps creeping down slowly but surely. And I kind of recommend this product right over here. This is from Walmart right now. If you go to Walmart, it's a restored Apple Mac Mini M2 Pro, right? But this is the Pro chip. 512 gigabyte SSD and 16 gigs of RAM for $527. You got to ask yourself, is this going to be a good upgrade over possibly, think about it, the M4 Mac or the M4 Mac Mini, right? The base level. This is $527. You're getting a Pro chip, which is going to have more cores. It might be about the same speed roughly. It's going to slower single core, maybe around the same speed multi-core. But you are getting a bigger, double the actual storage here, 256 to 512, and you're getting the same RAM here for $527. So, this is in that range where it's tough choice, right? I think if it was $427, this would be a better deal. If it was $327, I would say get this. But at this price, it's still probably the M4. But I mean, I think, for people that are, I don't know, if you find a good deal, and I think it's still a good deal. I mean, $527, post in the comments what you think. I hope everyone's having a great week out there. Okay. We've talked about this a lot, but finally we're getting some news on it. Mac Rumors. It says a lighter, cheaper Vision Air coming out in 2027. That's still, a year and a half away. Apple plans to release a lighter weight and more affordable version of the Apple Vision Pro in 2027. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is they're finally giving us an estimate on the price. And I think, I keep asking people to post, but I want to know what you think about this price. But first of all, it says the upcoming device, which refers to it as the Vision Air, will supposedly be 40% lighter. That's huge than the current model. So almost 50% lighter. 40%, I guess, is not almost 50, but you get the idea. The Vision Pro weighs around 1.37 pounds, 40% lighter. So it says right here, he thinks that it's going to be 50% cheaper. This is the big difference here. So the Vision Pro costs almost $3,500, which means half-price version would be $1,750. So that's my question to you. If everything stays the same, maybe technology gets better and it's going to be as good of a device as it is right now, would you still buy it for $1,750? I'm just curious. I've used these things. I have a bunch of the glasses and stuff like that. They're more of a novelty. I love watching like movies and stuff if I'm on a plane and stuff, but I'm on a plane 20 hours a year maybe at most. And I watch them sometimes at night and stuff like that, but it's just something that it's really hard to work on. So would you buy this for $1,750? I'm sticking to, if it needs to be under $1,000 before it gets the mass people using it. They're saying at $1,750, they're saying that, let me just see here. It says it could sell up to 1 million Vision Air units in 2027 at that cost, up from 400,000. So I think, I don't know. I think they could maybe do 1 million, maybe, but still, would 1 million be enough for people to actually design, the developers design for this and stuff? It's just a tough sell until you get that price down. I think it needs to be like $899, $799, and then people will start buying it. I know it's almost impossible with Apple, but that's where I think it needs to be. Okay, so this next one over here is kind of funny to me just because, first of all, we have an older crowd watching this, and I think this is going to make more sense to you than some of the younger people out there. But obviously, when we were younger, we would always, use things that were more, harder to use for us. But as you get older, you're like, I don't want to do that. Screw that. I want something that's easy, right? So this is a product, I think, for the younger crowd because I don't see myself ever using this. Tell me if you would use this ever yourself. It seems totally crazy, but I know young people do. It's crazy. So Apple Insider, it says Adobe brings Premiere video editing to the iPhone. So supposedly Adobe is bringing Premiere, its flagship video editing software, to the iPhone for the first time starting September 4th. And you can see a picture of this guy with the little finger on this little timeline trying to create a video. Now I know there's TikTok and all this crazy stuff out there. Kids are like drones now, looking at it 24/7. But still, would you ever look at this screen, or would you ever want to edit a video on this thing? I think it's just like kicking yourself in the butt, right? I mean, why would you want to do that when you could do it on a computer or even an iPad or something? I mean, who's going to use this? Again, I know I'm probably in the wrong. A lot of people that are younger are going to say I'd use it every day for my TikTok and stuff. But I mean, do you really want to sit there on a little phone, trying to get everything perfect? I mean, timelines and stuff like that, using a video editing software. It seems like nobody would ever even use this, but you watch. The world's crazy right now, and people will. Okay, this next one, I want to give a shout out to a product I think is pretty good. I actually saw an example of this in real life when I went to a show, and it actually works really well. So, obviously we're talking about possible matte screens on iPhones and stuff because of the glare if you're outside. Here's a good solution from a company that works pretty good, Mac Rumors. This is AstroPads, which they actually made some other products. This is kind of crazy for them. Fresh Coat Screen Protector cuts iPhone reflections by 75% without color loss. So if you're going to get a new iPhone, or if you have a current one, let me just show you the picture down here. And this is kind of what I saw as well. Fresh Coat here, look at this difference, and then bare iPhone. So when you're outside a lot, if let's say you work outside all the time, this is what you're normally going to see, especially even in a shaded area. But over here, look how good this is. So, and they're only like $27 right now. It's priced at $27, 20% launch discount right now. And it's going to be right now for the 16s, obviously, and the iPhone 17 coming later. So you get the idea. But look at that main difference for only $27. So if it's that good and it's a screen protector, if they give you the option with Apple, let's say these new phones come out and they give you the matte screen option, but they're going to charge you like an extra $100, which I'm guessing that's what it will be. You watch, just get this. You're going to get the protection. You're going to get just as good, and it's a better option, I think. But again, tell me what you think. Okay, so we talk a lot about this, AI in this channel and how it's going to be replacing all these jobs, and it's coming very, very fast. We're going to see, we might be, especially me, we might be out of this maybe in 10 or 15 years or whatever. When we get out of the workforce, we might actually not have to deal with this, but the younger generation will. I think it's going to replace so many jobs so quickly. But here's another one, and Apple's kind of pushing this, and I mean, again, I don't know how I feel about this. It goes both ways, right? It's not just them either, but it's just an interesting article. It's Apple Insider. It says Apple suppliers must invest in automation or face losing orders. So Apple is reportedly pushing suppliers to invest in automation to cut production costs, and if they don't, they risk losing iPhone production contracts. So I read the article. It said basically they want this because it requires less workers. We'll talk about that, but it also makes things, basically more consistent. You're not having individuals making them. When you have machines make them, everything is very, very consistent. It also makes them so they can pick it up and move somewhere if they need to, instead of trying to move all those people. Those are main reasons, and those are all good reasons, right, for us. But for those people that are actually making the phones, and this is just one thing out of millions, but it claim like hundreds of thousands of people do this, they're going to be out of a job once these things are developed. Now, the high-end jobs, again, like the people that are engineers and stuff, they might have more jobs, but it's going to be kind of that mid to low range that are going to be going away. And I think this is the fear that we all have. So we'll see what happens. I just thought it was an interesting article. Now, Apple's starting to make them do this. When I say make it, I'm just taking it with a grain of salt. I mean, I don't think they're actually making them right now. It just is from this article. But I believe this is going to be the way all manufacturers go in the future. And it's just an interesting topic. Okay, say it ain't so. And I actually have one sitting up there. I don't know if you can see it up on that shelf up there. It's finally come. I'm very sad about this, although I haven't used it in about 7 years. So right over here, Mac Rumors. It says Apple says 11-inch MacBook Air and 2 other Macs are now obsolete. Apple today added 3 Macs to its obsolete playlist or products list here on the website, including final model of the MacBook Air with a smaller 11-inch display. Let's go down here. So what are they? The 3 Macs that are now obsolete, it's the 11-inch or the 11-inch early 2015 MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro 13-inch 2017. That's actually surprising. That's actually 2017. And the MacBook Pro 15-inch 2017. Those are crazy. Like this one I kind of expected. That's finally going away. But these other ones, are interesting because that's not that long ago. I guess it is. But, it just doesn't seem like that long ago, does it? It says a device becomes obsolete once more than 7 years has passed and Apple stopped distributing it for sale. Apple stores and Apple authorized service providers typically do not repair obsolete products. That's going to be the problem here. It says that you could still be eligible for battery replacements up to 10 years, possibly if they have stock, which they may not. But if they don't, you're kind of screwed. And if you need anything worked on them, you're screwed. But let me just say this. If you're rocking a early 2015 MacBook Air and you're even thinking about going to Apple for repairs on it, you're pretty much screwed to begin with, right? You can go buy one for like I think less than $100 right now. So you might as well just do that and buy a new one if you want to go ahead and buy another 2015, because it doesn't make any sense to fix the one you got, right? That's my take on it. I'm sticking to it, and I know, again, it's going to be cheaper for you, so just that's the way you should go. Okay, I hope you guys are all having a great weekend again. We'll talk to you in the next one. We'll see what news comes out here in the next couple of days, and then we'll make another video next week. We do this every weekend. Check out my other videos during the week. I do more reviews and other type of products and more serious products and training and all that stuff. We'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.